Wheelchair transfers and wheelchair skills described and demonstrated in this video can be dangerous and can result in serious injury if attempted without the assistance of trained healthcare professionals. This video should be used for information purposes only and is not intended to be used as a substitute for healthcare professional consultation, assistance, or advice. Always seek the assistance or advice of your physician or other qualified health provider with any questions you may have regarding wheelchair transfers and/or wheelchair skills before using any of the techniques in this video. Please be advised that anyone using the information in this video shall do so at their own risk and shall not hold Hamilton Health Sciences, any of its officers, staff, agents, affiliates, and/or volunteers responsible for any injury or damage arising from such use howsoever caused. Hi there, my name is Diana Harrington. I'm a physiotherapist at the Spinal Cord Injury Rehab Program in Hamilton, Ontario. I've had the privilege of working exclusively with people with spinal cord injuries for over the past 2 years now, and I continue to learn from my clients each and every day. Every single person that we see in spinal cord injury rehab has a very different set of strengths, comforts, and skills. Therefore, each person is going to develop very different transfers and wheelchair skills. Fortunately, I'm about to share with you some of the tricks of the trade that make learning transfers and wheelchair skills a little bit easier. I very quickly learned here at Shadok that if a picture paints 1,000 words, then a video or a live demonstration can speak volumes. And I, for example, can describe and demonstrate skills over and over again, but what really has worked for my clients is actually having people from the community with spinal cord injuries come in and demonstrate the skills live. In Hamilton, we're privileged enough to have a very supportive community of people living with various levels of spinal cord injuries that we can just call up at any time to see if they can pop by the physio gym, come in and visit with our patients and demonstrate some of the skills. But we realize that this is not always possible. The purpose of this video is to help teach the basic principles of transfers and wheelchair skills and to show video clips of people living with spinal cord injuries demonstrating these skills. I'm essentially going to be the narrator or the cruise director of this video. I'm going to run through the basics and then let the real stars take over. The basic principles of transfers, well, safety always comes first. We recommend that you always have a physiotherapist with you when you're first learning these transfers. The physiotherapist is trained on how to spot you properly so you're not going to fall. We like to not grab the clothing. We like to get our hands right under your hips so we can help you lift if needed. We also know how to guard your knees and guard your feet so that you're not going to have a fall. So we recommend that you have a physiotherapist with you. For starters, always have your brakes on when you're first learning these skills. I'm going to put them on right now. Always try to have your feet on the floor when you're first learning these skills and wear a shoe that has a good non-slip surface on the bottom, so non-slip sole, just to give you a little extra grip. People often forget that even though they may not be able to feel their feet are actually helping out in their transfer by keeping them from sliding, so we need good shoes. We also like to have the chair and the bed or the chair and the chair that you're transferring between nice and close together. A lot of people feel that there's a big black hole in between the two surfaces that you're going to somehow slip into. So the closer you can get those surfaces, the better. We tend to recommend about a 45-degree angle. What that does is it closes the gap and it allows you to transfer in front of the wheel. If you end up landing on this tire, you're putting yourself at risk for skin breakdown on your bottom, and we really don't want that. So this is the optimal position for a chair such as this. There are some other chairs that can go right 90 degrees if there's no tire in the way, but this is the most common position that we use. Now, the other very key component for a basic transfer is leaning forward. You need to get a good lift, and to do that you need to lean forward. If you're sliding all the time in your transfer, you're going to be shearing your bottom again, so you're going to end up with some skin breakdown. So we want you doing this lift. To do that, you lean forward like I said. If you're not leaning forward, you're doing this little lift and you're not going anywhere. As soon as you lean forward, your bum will come right up off the bed once you get comfortable with that. You also will often hear in spinal cord rehab people saying, Diana, my arms are too short. I'm here to tell you your arms are not too short. Whether you lift with your triceps, which are these muscles right here that straighten your arms, or if you don't have triceps, if you turn your arms, you can lock your arms. You can still lift even if you feel like you can't. You do that by leaning forward and using your shoulder depressors. These are muscles in your body that help push your shoulders away from your ears. So you actually push your shoulders away from you and you get an even bigger lift, even if you have short arms. So you can do it. The other skill you need to develop when learning transfers is learning how to direct someone else to help you if you need help, and your physiotherapist can help you out with that. The next big component of learning how to transfer is understanding how your hand positioning and your body positioning actually helps you move and helps you lift. So the first thing I'm going to review is this leaning forward that I keep talking about. It is one of the most important things in transferring successfully and lifting successfully. Unfortunately, it's one of the scariest things. Most people say as soon as they start to lean forward, they feel like they're going to fall on their face. So I'm going to give you some general rules here. Essentially, if you keep your feet on the floor in front of your knees, so if you can see where my feet are, they're out in front of my knees. Even if you can't use or feel your legs, you can flop all the way down. As long as your spine has healed after surgery, you can flop all the way down without any fear of falling. So my legs are not doing anything at the moment. My lap is just holding me up. A lot of people feel that they're going to fall, but if your feet are there and your knees are in front of you, you're not going to fall. Okay? Obviously, if your knees flop way out to the side, it gets a little dodgy. But as long as your knees are pretty much in front of you and your feet are in front of your knees, you're not going to fall. So you're nice and safe. To demonstrate what would not be safe, if you're not paying attention, your feet are tucked in behind your knees. If you go to lean forward, you're going to slide right off the bed that you're on. So always make sure when you're transferring, your feet are out in front of you. Okay? Hopefully that helps you feel more comfortable. The next lesson you need to learn is that your body and your arms work like a pendulum and a clock. So if you were to lift straight up, your body's going to swing depending on where your hands are positioned. For example, if I want to move over to my right, I'm going to tuck my left hand right in next to me, put my right hand further away. I'm going to lean forward, like I've already said, and just think about lifting straight up. Lift straight up, my body's naturally going to swing over to the right hand. To move to the left, same thing. Right hand tucked in, left hand far away. Lift straight up, your bum's naturally going to swing over to that left hand. So you're like a pendulum. Same works for going forward and backwards. So if I want to move backwards, I can put my hands a little further back, do that lean forward, my bum should go a little bit backwards. And to go forward, the further ahead your hands are, the easier. Lesson 3 is to understand that your head and your bottom naturally want to move in opposite directions. Therefore, if I want to lift my bottom, I want my head to go down. So if you want your bottom to come up, you need your head to go down. If I move my head a little bit down, my bum comes up a little bit. If I move my head really far down, my bum comes way off the bed. So you get a big lift. Same works for side to side. So you already know the pendulum. I'm going to put that hand over to the right if I want to move to the right. If I just lift straight up, I will naturally drift over to the right. But if I want to do it faster, which you often want to do in your big transfers, you're going to lift straight up. So your bum has to come off the bed for this to work. You lift straight up, swing your head to the left, and your bum naturally goes to the right. Same thing if I want to move over to the left. So I put my hand over to the left. I'm going to lift up, then swing my head to the right, and my bum will want to go to the left. So lift up, swing, and over. When you see people demonstrating this later, it's very fluid. I'm breaking it down just to make it make sense for you. Same thing works if you want to move further or back. So let's say you're toppled on right on the edge of the bed, it's making you nervous. If I want my bum to go backwards, put my hands a bit back, and I want my head to go down and forward. And it'll just naturally shove myself way back. If I want to go forwards, put my hands a bit forward. This one's a bit trickier. You're going to lift up, which involves leaning, and then try to get your head back so your bum will swing. So you lift up and then swing. It may feel a little more awkward moving forward than moving backwards. That just might mean you have to do a few more little lifts instead of one big one, like you could to move your bum backwards. That's all the tips I have for you at the moment. Now I'm going to let the real stars of the video take over.
Hi, my name is Adrian. I'm a C6 quadriplegia, or tetraplegia as they call it in Europe. I was injured in a car crash in 1987. I've been in a chair for almost 20 years. I'm a complete injury, which means I have no feeling or movement below the cervical 6 area of my neck, which means no balance, no abdominal muscles, no back muscles, and certainly nothing, in the legs. My arms are also quite affected by my paralysis. C6 is pretty typical. I have no, if you draw an imaginary line between the second and third finger, I have no feeling on the back side of my arm, and very limited, minimal use of the muscles in my arms. So I have full use of my deltoids, way up here, your shoulders. I have full use of my biceps on each arms. On my right arm, I've got very strong wrist extension, and then just very minimal wrist flexion. So after about 5 or 6 of these, it fades out. My left arm, I had nerve damage when I was first hurt, and I have no wrist extension or flexion in this hand. And then, of course, absolutely no finger or thumb movement. As well, minimal tricep muscles in each of my arms. So I have a little bit that can, hold my arm out straight and against gravity. But if I'm against gravity, as you can tell, I'm good for maybe 2 or 3, and then I kind of fade out. So that's what I'm dealing with. A lot of transferring and moving around in a chair is about finding your balance point, and a lot of it is experience, getting yourself in the right position so that you can use just minimal amount of strain on the muscles that you do have. So as you'll see in the video of some of the transfers, I cheat an awful lot, but I get the job done, and that's what counts. Feet on the ground. I have scissor brakes, so they're actually underneath the chair. Because my transfers are so sloppy, I don't like to have a brake sticking up in case I'm going to rub my butt on it, so this way it's out of the way. Putting them on is a little bit inconvenient. Very easily. So probably the most important part of my transfer is position. So I'm still sitting on the chair, but I'm all the way close to where I'm going to transfer on, so there's least possibilities of me sliding or falling or not missing my transfer. I always transfer with my feet on the ground. I have long legs, and so I just find it gives me a little bit of extra stability. I can balance off my leg. So I line myself up. And I use the momentum of my body falling forward to get my bum into the air. So I fall forward, my bum gets into the air, and then it's just a matter of flopping over to wherever I need to go. So it's a very unconventional but very, very effective way to transfer. So balance is a big concern. If someone was to hit me or the wind would blow, I'd fall over. So I'm always bracing myself one way or another. So my left hand is bracing me. My right arm is going to get. So I'll just use the momentum of me falling back. There you go. This is 18 years experience of getting in and out of the chair. And so when I was first injured, I couldn't do any of this. I needed a sliding board, I needed someone to spot me, and so a lot of these things come with time. So I go to have my little nap. We're ready to get up. My trick for sitting up in bed, I always have my wheelchair beside me, and so I hook my little quad fingers, which aren't moving, into my push ribs. I get some momentum there, and I just kind of I pull myself up. So with limited triceps, I can isolate my bicep and my deltoids. So I'm pulling myself up that way. Realistically, in real life, what I do is when I'm laying here, I say, "Hey, Karen," which is my wife. She lifts up her leg. I reach over and I put my arm underneath back of her leg. She pushes and I pull at the same time, and then I'm up a lot quicker. Karen is not always with me, unfortunately, so I have to use my wheelchair. Guess that was my cue to get into the chair.
helpful to wear shoes that got a nice thick sole on the bottom, and it's a little sticky, so your legs aren't going to flop all over the place. So transferring with bare feet, your feet will often slide. So I like to transfer with shoes on. I mean, I do transfer with bare feet when I'm, going to the bathroom and stuff like that first thing in the morning. But shoes make it a little easier.
Hi, my name's Cyrus Villa. My date of injury was July 24th, 2003. I was a police officer in my before life, and I got hurt chasing bad guys. I was chasing them into a river, and I tripped and landed on my head, and now I'm a C5-6 quadriplegic. I guess I'll go into what I have and don't have. I'm totally complete. I have very little tricep. I'll do a little demonstration. This is me trying to straighten my arm. Very little, and my left is even worse. Maybe if a little assistance, I can maybe straighten it that way. And my right arm is a bit stronger than my left. What else? Wrist flexion. I've got good wrist extension in both. I've got very little wrist flexion, more in my right, no, none in my left. I've got no upper body, and my level of feeling is it just starts about here. So I'm very floppyish, as they say. So I need a block on the floor. It helps when the block keeps my feet off the floor just a little bit. For some reason it takes the weight off, and it's a lot easier for me to transfer. So what I do usually is I transfer my feet onto the block, like so. And then I try to get my butt forward in the chair. And what I do is I push down on my left, and then I push with my right elbow against my backrest. And when I'm in this position, I just transfer my hands, get myself a bit further. And then I just go the rest of the way. And that's it. So what I want to do is get my butt close to the edge of the bed again. And then I go down on my left elbow. And then the idea here is to pick up my left foot first. And this should be the first time I try this with my shoes on, so we'll see how it goes. And then I pick up my right foot again. And I hook it with my left hand, and I just grab the bottom of my foot onto the bed.
Let me know if you want your shoes off.
You want me right down?
It's up to you.
Okay, and just to lie myself down, I grab my push rim. I go down on my right elbow, and I go down. Okay, getting back up. I would have to grab onto this, and then I'd have to swing my body up,
I kick my right leg down first. Then my left. And then I would basically use the momentum with me swinging forward, and I'm going to try and get it to my left and see how it goes. And that's it. I just try and get as close as possible and try and get my feet situated so I don't get tangled up in the middle of the transfer. And this is usually just a one-shot deal for me. I don't put one cheek on and then the rest of the way. I usually just go the whole way. We'll see. Come on. And that's that. Ta-da!
Hi, my name is Jake Lawless. I'm not telling you how old I am. I had a spinal cord injury 9 years ago, C4, an incomplete injury, which left me a incomplete quadriplegic, or tetraplegic, more correctly. And I'm physically active. I play tennis and push long distance, and I try to do as much physically as I possibly can for myself. And I just got my chair adjusted today, and they didn't adjust the brakes properly. Put new tires and everything on, and the brakes on the left side are very hard to put on. So normally, push that or put them on, but as you can see, I do have movement in my legs, control over them, and I have strength in my legs. So when I transfer, put weight on my hands, shift weight to my legs. You can see I'm using my legs there, and just drop my bum wherever, and then adjust again. Transfer complete. At my house, I like if I'm getting into bed, I'll just throw myself back while I have a handle on my pants and swing them up into bed like that. Use one hand to pull up the chair, get myself back into this position.
Now Jake does have some active movement in his legs, but many people can also lift both legs into bed at the same time by leaning backwards and using their leg spasms.
Again, lifting my bum up with my legs. Dropping it back down. Voila.
Hi, my name's Cindy McLean. I had a spinal cord injury on June 13th, 2003, and then came to Shadok for rehab. My injury was caused by a fall. I was walking my dog in a conservation area in Michigan, and the dog and I fell about 100 feet off of a cliff, and I injured T11, T12, and L1, and the dog didn't even injure a toenail. I had 2 surgeries. One surgery was to put titanium rods in my back, and those extend from T5 to L3. And I also had a plate inserted in the front of my spine just to add more stability. So both my surgeries were done in the US, and then I was transferred to Hamilton. My home is in Guelph, so Hamilton was the best choice in terms of proximity as well to my home.
Hi, I'm Dave. I'm a T8 paraplegic. I've been in a chair 20 years. Have strong hands and arms, no movement from here down.
Although we don't recommend this in rehab, in reality many individuals, like Dave, learn to safely transfer without using their brakes. Notice how he uses one of his arms to balance himself as he uses his other arm to lift his legs into the bed.
Hi, my name is Jim. I'm a T10 paraplegic, which means I'm roughly paralyzed from about here down. It was a workplace fall about 14 months ago. I fell 15 feet onto concrete.
Now, not everybody does this, but note that Jim finds it best if he keeps both his feet on the footrest. That works out well as long as you make sure your chair doesn't tip forward. And now, notice how Jim uses momentum to swing his legs up into the bed. Now, Ken chooses to keep one foot on the footrest during his transfer, and his chair is moving quite a bit. He chooses to use just one brake. Right now you can see he's trying to settle his clonus in his leg by pushing down through it, so putting weight through his feet. And now he's using momentum to lift his legs up into the bed, which is very efficient. And now, like many individuals, you can see Ken's very strong extensor spasms in his legs. He chooses very smartly to let them settle down before he lays right flat. Now, Ken makes this look very easy. He's a very strong guy, so he actually lifts both of his legs up at the same time to put them over the side of the bed. Gets one foot on the footrest. And he does a huge lift. He actually goes up over the tire instead of in front of it. And right in the back of the chair.